Gladstone Regional Council are committed to fostering a proud, involved and engaged community. The Gladstone Regional Council Community Investment Program provides financial support to local community initiatives, projects and events which promote community connections, regional enhancements, community celebrations and community education. For more information on the Community Investment Program, visit gladstone.qld.gov.au. Gladstone Regional Council. Connect, innovate, diversify.
Illegal dumping and littering is a concern across the Gladstone region, with over 134 offences in the last 18 months. Our region is beautiful, but there are a few bad apples that ruin it for the rest of us, and they need to clean up their act.
Commonly found items at illegal dumping sites across the region include car bodies and batteries, mattresses, tyres, white goods and furniture, and green waste. These items can be disposed of at any of the region's waste transfer stations, some of them even for free.
Illegal dumping and littering pollutes our environment, harms plants and animals, and detracts from the enjoyment of our public spaces. It can lead to stormwater and ocean pollution, with large amounts of plastic, sugar sachets, and cigarette butts caught in stormwater traps and grates.
It's cheaper for everyone to dispose of waste correctly. Illegal dumping and littering costs our ratepayers thousands of dollars each year in waste management and clean-up. It's also costly for our dumper, with penalties of up to $10,000.
We can all work together to keep our region beautiful and dispose of waste responsibly by placing rubbish in the bins, or even holding onto the rubbish until you're near a suitable bin, and using our local waste facilities. Don't be part of the problem of pollution. We want you to be a part of the solution.
From towns to the bush, illegal dumping and littering is everybody's responsibility. Protect our public spaces and natural environment by doing the right thing for today and tomorrow.
If you see illegal dumping,
Dob in a dumper.
See it,
report it, stop it.
Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.
Well, good morning. The time being 9 a.m, I declare open the general meeting for the Gladstone Regional Council for the 1st of March 2022. We have no apologies this morning. All councillors are present. So I'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the messages of condolence. And Councillor O'Grady and Councillor Churchill have messages of condolence. Over to you, Councillor O'Grady.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I just would like to give Josie Ming a message of condolence for Doug. Doug passed away just before Christmas, and Friday afternoon they did a memorial service for him at Agnes Water, so which was lovely. The police boat came down and escorted. They went out on the Orca and spread his ashes over at the sandbar, and he just loved it there. But they've been at Agnes Water for 30 years, just over 30 years, and I met Doug and Josie when they first came there, and it was absolutely a fitting time for them, you know, doing it how we did it. Doug was very instrumental since he arrived in, it used to be SE Rescue, but VMR, and getting the new building built and getting boats and that sort of stuff. So he was a coordinator of the rescues as well. So prior to coming to 1770 Agnes to live, he actually built the first SE Rescue building down at Jacob's Well. So he's been in SE Rescue for many, many years, and called VMR now. So, yeah, so I'd like to send Josie and Doug's family well wishes from the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Grady. Councillor Churchill.
Today it is with deep sadness that I respectfully advise of the sad passing of Robert Bob Pascovicius. Mr Pascovicius has been a proud resident of the Gladstone region, and in particular the Baffle area, for more than 40 years. Bob, as he was affectionately known to many of us, and I know that Councillor Trevor and others had a close association with Bob, was a founding member of the beloved Wartburg Rural Fire Brigade and served with selfless distinction for well over 30 years. The Central Queensland Rural Fire Service colleagues described him, as we know him, as an absolute champion bloke. Mr Pascovicius was also a return Vietnam veteran, having proudly served this country in the Australian Naval Forces during the Vietnam War. Bob had a vast knowledge of the land and the region and also nature, and was always keen to lend a hand and help the new members that came into the Rural Fire Service. Bob was committed to and continued with his service to the RSL Australia as President of the Rosedale RSL, and more recently with the Agnes Water RSL. So in times of this, Bob's funeral was held last Monday, and gone but not forgotten. And on behalf of the Gladstone Regional Council, I'm sure each and every one of us extend a heartfelt sympathies to his wife Margaret, his daughters and grandchildren, and his many colleagues. Rest in peace. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Any further messages of condolence, councillors? Two absolute community champions there. Thank you very much, councillors. The next item on the agenda is prior notifications of conflicts of interest. We do have a couple of those, councillors. Councillor Branthwaite.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I, Councillor Darryl Branthwaite, advise that in agenda item G/4.1 DA 24/2021, I may have a declarable conflict of interest, as my wife Jenny could be an agent selling the adjoining property to that for which the development approval is being considered. As a result of my conflict of interest, I will leave the meeting room while the matter is being considered and voted on.
Thank you, Councillor Branthwaite. Councillor Goodluck.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I declare a prescribed conflict of interest in item number G/3.1, the Turtleway Artscape Committee, as under section 150 EK of the Local Government Act. I am a executive officer of the Buenola Arts Business and Community Association, which is the auspicing committee for Turtleway Artscape. So unfortunately, I'll have to leave the room. Thank you.
Through the Mayor, it's only a briefing, Mr Mayor.
There's a request for...
There's a clear request on the paperwork that there's seeking support.
Okay.
So for that reason, under the Act, I
Thank you.
have to leave the room.
Further conflicts, councillors? Thank you. I'd like to declare I, Matthew Burnett, advise that in agenda item G 4.1, DA 24/2021, I may have a declarable conflict of interest associated with my role as a federal candidate for the seat of Flynn, as we have made a commitment, if elected, to contribute financially to an aquatic centre in Buenola. As my conflict of interest, I will leave the room while the meeting is considered. As I said, I may have a conflict of interest, a declarable conflict of interest. Possibly not, but I'm not prepared to take that chance, considering it's a $15 million allocation to council. And whether council does negotiations at a further stage with this proponent, I don't want to be in the room while that decision's made. So thank you, councillors. I'll hand over to the Deputy Mayor when that item comes up on the agenda. Is there any further conflicts of interest? Thank you. The next item on the agenda before we move to our deputation is the Mayor's statement on current issues. And can I say it was fantastic to stand with Andrew and Nicola Forrest and the teams from Fortescue Future Industries, Plug Power and Hutchison's Builders to turn the sod on Australia's first manufacturing site for electrolysers right here in the Gladstone region. The construction on the $114 million first stage is scheduled to be completed this year, with electrolysers planned to roll off production in 2023. That's right, construction planned to be completed this year. And Andrew Forrest was very determined to make sure we turned the dirt on that project in February, and true to his word, we did that. And if he's true to his word again, I'm sure he will be. We'll be completing that project this year. First electrolysers rolled off the production line in 2023. This stage alone means 100 construction jobs and 50 ongoing jobs. And as I said, that's the first stage. Once completed, the project in the Gladstone State Development Area will be able to produce up to 2 gigawatts of electrolysers each year. But the potential doesn't stop there. In the future, this site could produce wind turbines, turbo powers and blades, high voltage DC cables, and of course batteries. Our further $3 billion investment, also announced on Sunday for Central Queensland Renewable Energy Precinct, means hundreds more jobs producing more than 1 gigawatt of renewable energy. This investment delivers jobs right across Central Queensland. On another note, on February 22nd, we launched our Easter in Gladstone campaign. You'll be glad you did. Of course, our famous Brisbane to Gladstone yacht race, taking off again from Shorncliffe on Good Friday, will be live streamed to the world. And the Harbour Festival kicks off on Thursday night, 14th of April, as does our Brisbane to Gladstone Village, which is back this year. And in our Brisbane to Gladstone Village, we'll have the opening party on the Thursday, the Yachtsman's Long Lunch on the Good Friday, the Festival of Summer Sounds for our younger generation, under 18s, on the Friday night, our Seafood Festival, free to the community, on Easter Saturday, and of course our line crossing party on Easter Sunday. So absolute jam-packed Easter in the Gladstone region. And this year also we're introducing a Harbour Cruise breakfast on Easter Saturday morning. So that's in addition to everything that's already going on and all the free entertainment at the amazing Gladstone Harbour Festival. I invite everybody right around Central Queensland to come and enjoy Easter in Gladstone. Right around Queensland for that matter. Right. Well, you can watch it live across the world, but certainly come and enjoy what is the best time of the year to be in Gladstone. Can also send our thoughts to, of course, everyone affected by floods in Queensland, including in our own communities around Oyster Creek, Captain Creek, Baffle Creek, Rosedale communities, but also to our friends in Gympie, North and South Burnett and South East Queensland. I think the Premier and the team are doing an amazing job looking after our community down there, and we wish our emergency services all the best in what they're doing in their recovery. I know our local SDS around Lomead have been doing amazing work. We thank them for their work, and I thank all emergency service workers during this time, and wish everybody good health during the next few days. We move to our deputation is the confirmation of the minutes for the 15th of February 2022. Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Thank you, and second to Councillor Churchill. No business arising. All in favour? That's carried. Thank you, councillors. We will now move to our deputation. Councillor Goodluck has a a prescribed conflict. Will leave the room. And we have a deputation from the Turtleway Artscape Committee. And for those watching online, you might recognise some of these faces. Amazing Liz Cunningham, Maxine Bruce and Paul Cohen. Thank you for being with us this morning. And I'll hand over to you, Max, I believe. Thank you. You got the mic there, Max? Yes, I have. Thank you, Mr Mayor. And, you're allowed to take the mask off for the speaking if you like. It's totally your call.
I keep fogging up. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. Buenola Turtleway Artscape has been a project that we have been operating for nearly 10 years now, and we have 13 projects in place along our beautiful Turtleway pathway that Boyne Smelters largely funded, but also with council. So we're now at a state where we have a little pool of, quite a pool of money that we want to be using, but we don't need any hindrances in our way as we go out to the market for artists, expressions of interest in that, and also just working with the community generally to get some projects up. So we thought we'd come and have a chat and just bring you up to speed as to where we are, and then of course we've got an ask at the end. So, as always. So, as I said, we've been going for about 10 years, and it's about enhancing our community. We have 3 community organisations that put in funding every year. They are Boyne Smelters, Buenola Lions Club, Boyne Tanam Rotary, Boyne Tanam Arts Business and Community Association. I should know it. But yeah, and as I said, we've got 13 projects already, and the community love it, visitors love it, and the more we can put along there, the greater it will be. So I'll now hand over to Liz. I'll just said all that, Liz, so I'll go to the next one.
Yep. I was asked to join the BT Artscape after I retired, and I'd have to say, I assume, like many people, that I'd seen some of the installations, but I had no idea how they got there. But many of the beautiful artwork that you see down at Boyne Tanam on Turtleway has been auspiced by BT Artscape. The intention is always to use local artists and to involve community as much as possible. These are the projects that have been installed, and there's leaflets available to actually act as a guide to walk through all of the installations. I'd have to say, to be honest, we've had mixed success, failure in one area, and not failure because of what the committee did, but failure because human nature stepped in. All of the installations have done really well with very little except the little soldier crabs, and there's quite a number of people who decided that they would be better on their mantelpiece than on the Turtleway Artscape. We've lost, but it's a joint effort of council, it's a joint effort with community, with the local artists, both young and old, Indigenous, non-Indigenous, that makes it possible that these projects are successful. And members on our committee also are diligent in preparing, ensuring that where the proposal is to be put is appropriate, and seeing that that installation is done safely and well, and also in accordance with council's requirements.
I'm just going to turn around and see where. So one of our proposals we have is Dennis Park Sports Fields, and at this stage there's no arts around there. But what we want to do is just put some arts what represents every sport, and we are thinking to have it on the pavements, on the arts, and we will want to get the kids involved, disability people, everyone in the community, just to be able to do some artwork. And the idea is maybe to start doing in the winter time when it's not so hot, and it's because it is outside. We just want to have temperatures more down. So that's one of the proposals we have. So that will also include like fishing there. There's lots of fishing happening on the bridge there by the South Tree Bridge as you cross Boyne. So we see lots of people there doing some fishing, and we just want to get the community involved somehow. The next one is we also talk about is the benches along the walkway. So we have about plus minus 10 kilometres of walkway along the Boyne River and the beach areas, all the way to the smelter. And we just want to use recycled material benches. So the idea is that we maybe have a competition with, launch a competition so that we can get communities, even schools, involved, and they can come up with a design, and we will then send this design to be manufactured in recycled plastic. Because it's public art, we know we can't have sharp edges and things like that, so that is one of the things we have to look at. And also that's why we have to talk to council, that make sure that fits with the standards of a council. It doesn't interfere with any sharp objects, things like that. I mean, I think Maxime has talked about my birthday.
Yeah, BSL's 40th birthday this year, I'm sure you're all aware of that. And they are doing a separate project on the side of one of their buildings, which is not actually on Turtleway Artscape. So, but we are supporting them in, we would like to do some work on the pathway between Wyndham Park and up to the smelter. So we haven't come up with any concepts for that. It's about going to community, getting artists to be creative and come up with some opportunities that they could do there. We thought perhaps looking at what the smelter had funded for community during that time, we might be able to highlight some of those things, or just some great things along that pathway, highlighting some of the natural beauty that is there. Also, it's the 40th year of Buenola Lions Club, and this has been one of the most spectacular organisations locally for a very, very long time. And we're partnering with them to bring some artwork to Lions Park. That's what we'd like to do anyway. They've got some ideas, and they're continuing to explore that, but mainly their idea is about encapsulating the history of the club. They've seen what we've done, what was done on the surf club, and something like that. They have had such great achievements over the last 40 years that should be celebrated within the community.
And now we come to what our committee is asking of GRC, but everyone can relax because it's really much of the same. So we're asking for continued support of the Gladstone Regional Council for the development of the Turtleway Artscape project as a significant regional community asset. And I know, working with as a councillor and a mayor and state member, when entities in the community that are reliable and trustworthy add to the environment and livability of a region at minimal cost to council, it's an absolute, boon. The work doesn't have to be done, the nitty-gritty by council. We certainly want council's oversight in terms of the acceptability of the projects and the manner in which it's done. But we know, and I know, that installations that are being proposed will add very much to the community's enjoyment of the space. We'd like you to appoint a point of contact within GRC. Now, I know Di Paddock's been appointed to come to the committee. This second piece is what we're unclear of, that the point of contact within the council has the authority to determine approval or otherwise of projects within a reasonable time frame and in accordance, obviously, with the GRC endorsed map sites. And this is to expedite the projects. If they get bogged down, we usually miss our window of opportunity. Sometimes our artists become unavailable. Sometimes the opportunity for community involvement closes. And so the timeliness of approvals and our interaction with council is really important. Continued support by GRC Parks officers to assist in siting and erection of projects. I think everybody in this room knows Rick Bishel. Rick he's amazing and he's unique, we all know that, but in a good way. And Rick takes charge of the installation. He already has a good handle on what's required as far as safety and solid installation is concerned. But he likes to and has to work with a parks officer, and I know that would be an easy meeting of the minds. And then GRC promotion of Turtleway Artscape as a valued regional asset. And honestly, I think that's a given. I would hope it's a given, because it provides a lot of interest on the Turtleway Artscape. As I said, there's a map for people to sequentially go and visit each site. The installation of the park benches will add to the comfort and enjoyment of people walking. So the aim of our installations is to enhance Turtleway Artscape, but also to add to people's enjoyment of that environment.
And that's our time done. Thank you very much, Mr Mayor and councillors. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Not taking away from any other deputation, but I think that's the first one we've ever had on time. But we do probably have councillors have questions, so we could be here for another hour yet.
That's fine. Happy to take questions.
Normally we would note this, and I'm quite happy for councillors to do that. But like you said, I think we're just a continuation of what we've always done, and I can't see there being any issue with it. But probably as a procedure, we would just note the deputation, get back to you. But I note in there a reasonable time frame, so I'll make sure that that's the case. Councillors, questions, please. Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Matt. Thanks very much for that, Maxine, Liz, Paul. It's a very short, sharp and succinct presentation. Just the one thing that jumped out at me was that as we see the continued development of the Buenola area, and I'll use one as an example, was the Dennis Park Fields. You've identified the current users that are there in relation to the artwork. How would you perhaps go about expanding upon that artwork if there was to be an extra user that would come in? I know Councillor Henson's and others have been advocating for the opportunity for hockey to come in down at Dennis Park at some particular stage. So how do you allow for that in the introduction of a new activity or a new service that might occur in your artwork?
And I think that that's a very valid question, Councillor Churchill. We certainly, and hence the, what we're trying to do there is perhaps do something on the pavement, so you could actually continue to expand that as everything, and as other activities like fishing, and you could take it all the way back. Not just Dennis Park even. I can see that it'd go back through the Bits Club grounds and all those sorts of things on the pathway, and capture all of those other sports that are being held in that area. So as the sports activity expands, that could actually happen.
Great.
Yes, that's correct. We also have a soccer where the footy fields where we've got the golf where even all the way to a caravan park. So the walkway goes all past those areas. So all those areas can be occupied and can be used for future installations.
The proposal isn't to stick all of those side by side, but to space them out.
Okay.
So in the terms of the logistics, there will always be room either to add on or to put in between.
Great, thanks for that. And I suppose my final one was that your project is consistent with Council's public art policy anyway, so there is a certain level of synergy that already is existing, as you indicated there before, and that should continue, and perhaps that could be part of our review of our public art policy. I'm getting nods from the General Manager as well, so that's probably something that we need to be looking at in the future as well, is strengthening the public art, because it is a significant part of not only the destination development but the appeal and the experience and the attraction. Yeah. And just my final comment, and I suppose we're well aware those small soldier crabs have been going missing, but that's actually a testament of the artist, because they become collector's items, I would imagine, so that, Brad...
I have to say, we started with 40. And we're now down to about 4 or 5.
Yeah, we had heard that.
So it's, but they weren't cheap either.
Yeah.
But we're looking at an opportunity. We had talked about shifting them to a more visible space, to allow people to
or CCTV, but anyway.
However, they were put there, and all of our art is put into the place that it represents.
Yeah.
So the soldier crabs are always seen at that bridge, and that's why they're there. So I see that, and I know I've been talking to Rick just in the last couple of days about seeing if there's a truck that's got a little bit of extra
Rick
concrete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
A bit of extra concrete that we could just put down and do them a little bit more securely if we get some
To
more
adhere
done
them, yeah.
in that same space.
Mindful that they do disappear into the concrete and then they come back out again. But, I mean, that's a credit, I suppose, effectively, that because they're collector's items that Brad and Tracy Smith could go into a commercial enterprise of the Boyne-Tanham soldier crabs. But,
most definitely.
well, maybe today we could put a call out to them because they are territorial. And perhaps they might like to, those that are listening might like to return them.
They need to come back to breed.
Yeah, good point.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Councillor O'Grady.
Sorry, thanks for the presentation, it was great. Now, just touching on what Councillor Churchill was saying before, I noticed netball wasn't on the first slide. I thought, oh my gosh, but Councillor Trevor actually pointed out netball, so make sure if this goes ahead, make sure nobody's forgotten
on the slide,
about.
sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I mean, oh my gosh, as long as nobody's forgotten, that's okay.
No, can't forget netball.
No, definitely not. Further questions, councillors? Councillor Branthwaite. You're involved in BTABC to start with too, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it was my acronym actually. Yeah, no, it was just nice that Maxine could get the blame for that. Yeah, there was three of us that sort of started all that off, and it's the same with the pool thing actually. Just getting back to what Councillor Churchill sort of mentioned, we've heard of Target and Target. Bichelle is a different way of saying Bishop, but the other thing is the destination development. You mentioned that, and it's one of those things that is probably in our roles in the past has been how that's promoted, especially through the likes of the tourism outlets. And have you guys been speaking with the likes of GAPDL and how that can be leveraged off?
Yeah, we have our pamphlets and everything in GAPDL, but we also promote the QR code because all of our installations have got a QR code, so you can get the whole story about those installations.
Do they?
But individually, for Turtleway Artscape, probably not. From a BTABC perspective, we talk to them, but probably not.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that's actually something free to do. Like we promote the paperback trail and all this sort of thing. It gets a lot of credence, and it's probably the likes of Boyne-Tanham. It's such a beautiful place, and this really enhances that beauty and enhances not only the livability but the visitation and the destination side of it as well. It's probably from my thinking that there probably might need to be more focus put on it from an Instagrammable point of view from you guys, and it puts things on radars and that. But it is what yous are doing is just remarkable. And yeah, I also look at every time I bike past or walk past those little soldier crabs, I see them getting less and less, and I remember the day that Tracy put them there. It was just a fantastic day, and looking across that bridge and seeing those boxing kangaroos, glinting in the setting sun, it's just so beautiful. So congratulations on all that you do, and thank you so much for making our community a better place to live and stay. So thank you.
Thanks, Darryl.
Hey. No further questions, councillors?
Are you suggesting, Councillor Branthwaite, we have a campaign now to bring them home, the soldier crabs? Is that right?
I don't know about that.
Thank you, Liz. Thanks, Max. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very
councillors, we have a...
Mayor Matt, I'd like to move the motion with an amendment, if that was possible, that we receive the deputation.
Sure, let me hear your amendment.
And the amendment appropriately would be that the minor requests be delegated to the CEO.
They would be anyway. Liz? Sorry, Liz.
Liz?
No, Liz.
Mr Mayor, I would like to think that point, the appointment of a point of contact for GRC, could be done with all of the organisations around town, not just one or two or three. It should be. We should have a quicker approval on everything, I believe. So. I agree with that, yes.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Councillor Rick, but I think in the circumstance we've actually explicitly had a couple of requests here of a point of contact.
Yeah. I'm happy to second that.
To try and streamline. Thank you.
No, that's just not what we...
Councillor Muscat.
Sorry, I really appreciate where this is coming from, but it's at this stage we are to note the deputation and then go on to see what's best arranged by our officers.
Thank you, Councillor
And
Muscat.
I love the project too, thanks very much. I live very close to many of those things and I really want to see more of that. So.
I'm prepared to withdraw the amendment on the proviso that that a decision is effectively made, and that it's made because of the request that's coming forward, and we're well aware that other projects are happening or to happen fairly rapidly from a RADF perspective as well.
Our General Manager has already agreed to be the contact point, so but I think we leave that up to the CEO in our operations to manage that, and we have 3 community champions here. We are going to absolutely support them, I'm sure. So you're happy to just amend the officer's recommendation? Move the officer's recommendation? And would you like to move the recommendation tabled? The officer's recommendation is the deputation from Turtleway Committee be received. Moved by Councillor Churchill, seconded by Councillor Branthwaite. Put the motion, all in favour? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, team, and we'll invite Councillor Goodluck back. Moving on to the next item, which is the one Daryl and I have a conflict. We're going to leave. So I was just waiting. Okay, thank you, everyone. I'll now hand over to the Deputy Mayor. Thank you, councillors. I'll now hand over to Deputy Mayor, and Councillor Branthwaite and I will leave the room as we've recorded a conflict of interest.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. So we move on to the officers' reports. Item number G/4.1, DA for a reconfiguring a lot, boundary realignment and access easement and material change of use of premises for an outdoor sport and recreation use, aquatic centre, indoor sport and recreation use, gym and food and drink outlet in Buenola. Over to you, Kylie. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, councillors and those joining us at home. I have Council's Manager of Development Services with me today, Helen Robertson, as we present this report. As our Deputy Mayor said, this report is to assess the development application 2421 for a reconfiguration of a lot, boundary realignment, access easement, and a material change of use premises for an outdoor sport and recreation centre, which is the aquatic centre, indoor sport and recreation, which is the gym, and a food and drink outlet, which is the cafe, situated at Lot 1 and Lot 5, Hampton Drive, Boyne Island. In accordance with Council's planning scheme, Our Plan 2015, the proposed boundary alignment, gym and cafe are code accessible, whilst the aquatic centre is impact accessible. And as such, it's been assessed against the assessment benchmarks in the entire planning scheme, the state planning policy, and in accordance with the Planning Act. As per the Act, the impact accessible application must be publicly notified, and the applicant has conducted that notification period between the 7th and the 29th of October. 270 submissions were received during that process, 267 in support of the application and 3 raising concerns. The aquatic centre within the centre zone has synergies, obviously, in the commercial and recreation space, and the planning scheme's vision for the site has significant support from the local community. Therefore, it is recommended that this particular application is approved, subject to the relevant conditions. I'll hand over to Helen for questions that councillors may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Kylie and Helen. Just to note for anyone watching, there is, I think it was 51 pages, so a very comprehensive planning report. Thank you to Helen and the team. I think I counted about 70 conditions in total. So very, very comprehensive report. If anyone's interested and wants to jump online, you can see that on the Gladstone Regional Council's website and read it for yourself. I'll throw open to questions. Councillor Muscat.
Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Thanks for the report. It's really comprehensive, as we just mentioned, but it also shows all of the positives and the opportunities that a development like this can have for the area. I don't have any really big questions. I'm quite satisfied with the officer's recommendation, and if I could, I'd like to move it. Thank you.
No worries. We have a mover in Councillor Muscat. Can I get a seconder before seconding Councillor Trevor? Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Khan. I suppose my first two important questions is just to reiterate or perhaps reconfirm that this development application fully complies with our current, our plan, Gladstone Region Planning Scheme, and the state planning policy.
That's correct. There's conditions that mitigate some of the impacts, so and that's in terms of proximity to neighbouring properties and those types of things. So the consideration addresses all of those requirements with appropriate conditions, and therefore it's been recommended for approval.
You've articulated that in your report, but and Councillor Rick indicating it's already said in there, but we've been in the planning environment court a few times in recent times. Just wanted to make sure it fully complies. My second question appropriately is on page 10, where you made reference to the likelihood of partnerships, and I wanted to ask the question, has your office, Planning and Development, or the CEO's office, or our Economic Development Specialist Office have ever received a formal business partnership proposal from the proponents, and or what is well and truly recognised in government land of what they call, or what they refer to as a PPP, a public-private partnership? Have we ever received anything in a formal capacity?
No, Councillor Churchill, we have not.
That's fairly straightforward. Thank you for that. My only other couple of minor ones now on page 33, where you make reference to noise, or the noise requirements. I wanted to get an understanding perhaps if there was ever a swimming carnival held there when we talk about noise or we talk about numbers. I'm trying to understand when you read the numbers where it says 30 and you can't train out in the public area. And I say your report, and I agree with Councillor Muscat, the report is exemplary, but I also want to know these details at the end of the day. If there's a carnival that's more than 30, and then that will create obviously a fair amount of noise, and I'm not expecting that to be happening at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I'd like to get an understanding from that point.
Yeah, good question. There's a couple of elements to that. The first is there's a noise report, and that noise report will be considered as part of the detailed design as well. So the conditions that you see in the recommendation actually outline the parameters of which the hours of operation feed into that noise report. Yep. There's also structural elements in terms of acoustic barriers where required. Sure. And so it's a combination of operational element and also structural elements. And those structural elements will be further considered as the subsequent applications for those structures come through and the operational works comes through as well.
Thank you, Helen. Expert advice. Because I did read in there it's 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm not expecting a carnival to be held at 4 a.m. in the morning, but as long as there's an understanding there. My other question is there any legislative requirement or council policy or what we know under development principles with SEPTED, that's safety, environment in a public space, a requirement for CCTV in this area?
CCTV is not a specific requirement, but it does form part of those design reports. So it's something for consideration, I guess, for the proponent. It's not a requirement the council would impose unless it was a public safety issue. I think the matters about CCTV would be up to the proponent at that particular time to see whether it's relevant.
Okay, thank you. And I've just got two more minor ones. The other one was, in recognising 95% of the respondents support the project, we still need to value the importance of the 5% effectively who raised rightfully those submissions. So is there an economic aspect that relates to this that might be for local contractors or local suppliers in relation to a DA process?
That's not something that's a requirement as part of the planning scheme. We can't impose requirements on using specific contractors.
Okay, because we have had a debate, and a fairly robust debate previously, and or discussions in relation to pre-developments in relation to economic benefits analysis, which you agreed to, and we've had those sort of discussions, but there's no requirement within this development application.
No, there isn't.
Okay, thank you for that. Thanks for that, Kylie. Thank you, Helen.
Councillor Hanson.
A very good report, very comprehensive. I'll rip the mask off, sorry about that. I'm impressed with the connectivity and the pathways that have been put into the DA. Also the placing of activities throughout the site with regard noise, I think has been done very, very well. And your screening stuff. I know there's going to be there will be a couple of close residents there that have to be protected. And hopefully all of these things that you put in will do that. So congratulations. Yeah, I agree with it. Thank you.
Councillor Cameron.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. I have no questions because I think the report both by Zendev and by our officers was just absolutely brilliant. And I have no questions to ask at all because it's all been done there for me. And I fully support this project.
No other further questions. I just had a question. I was the same, had many questions. Thanks to Helen and the team, the vast majority of them were answered throughout the report. I did just want to clarify in the noise report, which Councillor Churchill touched on briefly, it mentions under 40 decibels for during the hours of concern with the neighbouring properties. It does say that there's a number of assumptions and unknowns, and that there will be a further noise report needed during the operational works. So just clarifying when that happens, if and when, it would be mandatory for the project to operate under that 40 decibels to manage that impacts to those neighbours.
That's correct. That's noise legislation.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, should just, I suppose, note that this is an approval and that it was still a matter for the proponent as to when and if and when the project would actually start. Is there any other questions by councillors? No? So we've... All good. So we've got a mover in Councillor Muscat, seconder in Councillor Trevor. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? That's carried. Can we invite the Mayor and Councillor Branthwaite back, please? And we'll move on. And back over to you, Mayor Matt.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. We'll next move to the next item on the agenda, councillors. And the next item on the agenda is G 4.2, which is...
Mr Mayor, the CEO is just...
Getting you a new mask? Yeah.
No, well, the CEO is doing me a favour. I just thought we might wait for her, that's all.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you very much, CEO.
He's getting you a new mask, yeah. Thank you. G 4.2 is the Australian Local Government Association Annual National General Assembly motions, and I'll hand over to the General Manager of Strategy and Transformation, Carly Quinn. Thank you, Carly.
Good morning. So this report seeks two outcomes today. Firstly, to consider a submission of a motion to the Australian Local Government Association's Annual National General Assembly, which will be held in June this year in Canberra, and the second one to nominate attendance at that event. Local governments have experienced challenges with recyclables processing and the procurement of resource recovery services. particularly councils in our areas around the remoteness of location, the volumes of materials resulting in the low economies of scale makes it quite difficult and challenging to have viable business opportunities. However, there is opportunity for councils to work together, and there are a number of more and emerging opportunities for councils to work together. But there is a challenge with the ACCC. The Competition and Consumer Act actually requires councils to have approval by the ACCC to enter into any of these arrangements. Now, previously we have had success in getting those arrangements, but they can take up to 6 months. So it does provide a lot of challenges with our procurement processes. Then we add just our normal procurement timeframes onto that, and sometimes opportunities can be a lot harder to maximise, and potentially even lost opportunities due to that timeframe. So our legal advisor, Millicent Bradley-Woods, is with us today, and she's drafted a potential motion to support all local governments with this challenge. And the motion calls on the Commonwealth Government to amend the Competition and Consumer Act to reduce those barriers that councils are experiencing with that tendering process. So the proposed motion is attached. There's also an opportunity to discuss today who you'd like to attend that conference, to talk to the motion, and also just attend the conference. Millie's probably the best to answer any specific questions, as she's the author of the motion.
Thank you, Carly. And Millie, I think I messaged you back earlier to say I think this is one of the best motions I've seen put to the National General Assembly ever. We do have good motions over the years, but, you know, 1% of financial assistance grants, supporting roads to recovery and those sorts of programs. But this is a really well-written recommendation, and I fully support it. Thank you. Councillors? Councillor Goodluck.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Happy to support the motion, move the motion. I did attend the ALGA conference last year with yourself and Councillor Muscat, I think, and it was very informative. There was, we heard from, you know, the Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister one morning, and by lunchtime they were no longer the Deputy Prime Minister. We heard from senior political figures all across the political divide, and had the chance to have great discussion. So it's a great conference, and there was some great debate on the floor of the conference. It was far too cold for me though, so I'm happy for someone else to go this year.
Well, with respect, Deputy Mayor, I think you should attend, and another councillor as well. Sorry.
Well, I was just getting in before you said that, that's all.
I think you should attend.
I'm happy to attend if
buy yourself a
attend.
jacket. It does get cold in June. I think Councillor Goodluck and councillors, is there another councillor that would like to attend? Councillor Cameron. Any other councillors like to attend?
You haven't had experience of Councillor Cameron, probably should need...
Yeah, well, bring your coat.
Is Councillor Cameron agreeing, accepting? Oh,
Excellent.
I'll second the motion. I'm happy to second the motion if Councillor Goodluck is the representative and Councillor Cameron.
Councillor Gray, would you like to attend as well?
Argue?
I think we could potentially send another one up to councillors.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I would like to attend, but I'm happy for Councillor Cameron to attend if there was only one other councillor other than the Deputy Mayor to go.
I'll just check with Lisa.
Are we restricted under the policy?
Mr Mayor, no, there's no restrictions under the policy. The budget is our only restriction, but we have adequate funds given the number of cancelled conferences that have occurred. So it's up to councillors how many you would like to send.
I think considering almost every conference has been cancelled in the last 2 years, it's not unfair to send Councillor Goodluck, Councillor O'Grady and Councillor Cameron to that National General Assembly. I'll be attending as the Vice President of ALGA, so I'll be there as part of the executive for the national body.
If the mover of the motion is prepared to accept that
yeah.
extra one, I'll second it.
Yeah.
Still second it.
Yeah, I'll move that way. And Councillor Churchill will second.
Yeah.
Was I the mover? Yeah, I think so.
Councillor Goodluck was the original mover.
Sorry, Councillor Muscat, before I put the motion.
I was just checking whether we have to allocate
delegates.
Delegates, I think, because it might be attending is not the same as delegates. Somebody can go as an observer.
Probably correct, actually.
That is correct.
Rowena, do you have advice on delegates and numbers for ALGA?
Yeah, the difference with LGAQ delegates is two of the members are already covered by the membership of LGAQ. This is separate again. So I think, to be fair, I think that delegate should be the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. But if either the Mayor or Deputy Mayor can't attend, then one of the other delegates would be the...
It might be appropriate to put it in the motion, that's all.
Would it be acceptable, Mr Mayor, if we just take that on notice and we'll bring it back to formalise that, make sure we meet the requirements?
Do you have delegates at...
You do. The delegates are the ones who speak at the motion conference floor. Yeah.
I thought the LGAQ was the member for ALGA.
LGAQ is the member of the Australian Local Government Association, and that's why I'm on the board. But at the National General Assembly, the councillors who attend are the voting delegates.
So I believe the requirement is for one delegate to attend and speak to the motion, and then any additional councillors would just be attendees for the conference.
Thank you. Well, we can work that out at a later date, but it'll be either yourself or myself, no doubt, speaking at one of those things, or we can throw to Councillor O'Grady or Councillor Cameron if it's too cold for you and you can't get out of bed. Thank you. Thank you. We have a mover. It is. Sorry, Rachel. Who have we got as the mover? Is it myself or Councillor Goodluck? Councillor Goodluck, that's fine. Councillor Goodluck attend, Councillor O'Grady and Councillor Cameron. Seconded by Councillor Churchill. All in favour. Motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Next item on the agenda is G4.3, and thank you, Millie, and thank you, Carly. Tender, supply and delivery of road making material. And I'll hand over the General Manager of Finance, Governance and Risk to you, Mark Holmes. Thank you.
Morning, Mayor. Morning, councillors. This is a paper just to consider the register of pre-qualified suppliers for our road making materials. You'll see that within a report. That covers a number of different elements of that. We have received 9 submissions for that, and from the panel, they are actually recommending the approval of all 9 for consideration as part of our essentially our register for the next period.
Thank you, Mark. Questions to the General Manager, please. Councillor O'Grady? Happy to move, and you're happy to second, Councillor Hanson. Any questions before I put the motion? Well, that was easy, Mark. All in favour? It's carried. Councillors, the next item on the agenda is councillor reports. I don't have any written councillor reports. Is there any verbal councillor reports? Councillor Goodluck.
Only that we have BAM returning this weekend, Mr Mayor, for the first time this year. So that will be 2 to 7 p.m. On Saturday at Millennium Esplanade at Tannum Sands, weather permitting. It's forecast for rain, which is standard practice for when we host BAM. So, but it'll be the first one for the year, and encourage everyone to get down there, particularly if you haven't ever been before. There's over 100 quality market stalls, food vendors, live music. It's a really great day out, so everyone's welcome to attend that.
Thank you. Absolutely. Councillor Hanson.
I don't know whether I'm in order here, Mr Mayor, but and I don't want to embarrass her, but it is Rowena Smallcombe's last meeting with council today, and she's going to drift off into another life and hopefully enjoy it. I just wanted to say that she's been part of this council since amalgamation, previously Miriamvale, and she's done some fantastic work over the years with governance in different roles, and in the last role that she had was actually internal auditor. I don't know whether there's a different name for that now. There probably is, but internal auditor. And she's done a fantastic job in governance right the way through her role here in council, and I wish her the very, very best in her new life.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. I absolutely have that written down to do as well. That's all right. No,
Thought it might be out of order.
No, not out of order, because you spent a lot of time on the Business Improvement Committee with Rowena, and you would have seen firsthand. Rowie has been with council in local government more than 30 years. Fantastic effort, Rowie, and we do thank you on behalf of all councillors, all the staff, and as Councillor Hanson said, from Miriamvale Shire right through to amalgamation here, Gladstone Regional Council, we wish you all the very best in retirement. If that's what it is. It's not really retirement. Retirement from local government for now, anyway. Well, I know what you're doing. Councillors, further, Councillor Muscat.
Yeah, sorry, quickly mention that is Clean Up Australia this weekend. So there's a few different events that people can join. So hopefully we'll see you then.
Okay, sorry, Councillor O'Grady. Would anyone else like to jump in?
I would never steal your thunder like that, Mr Mayor.
Mr Mayor, only shows that all councillors are very, very keen to be involved.
In the community, absolutely. And there is a lot happening this weekend, obviously, with BAM. There's also the CQ Capras. We have coaching clinics. We have a whole range of rugby league games on the weekend. Of course, the Capras will play the PNG Hunters, the Entertainers at Marley-Brown Oval. So make sure you get in and get your tickets in between BAM and everything else that's going on. And the Dolphins are here as well, and so is Wayne Bennett and others. So it should be a jam-packed weekend of events and entertainment across the Gladstone region.
And they will play if it rains or not.
Yeah, they will play in the rain. Further council reports? No further council reports. I have no urgent business, no notices of motion, no confidential items. The time being 9:56 then, I will declare the meeting closed. And thank you for your attendance.